my name is Dorian and welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's video, I'm going to be going through the 7 different books that I picked up on my yearly beach trip this summer. They range from fantasy to contemporary. They're all by different authors. I'm going to be naming each book, giving a synopsis, talking about what I'm looking forward to about each book, as well as guessing as to what my rating will be of each book on a 5-star scale. So let's get into the beach book haul. The first book that I picked up at the beach was Wendy Darling by A.C. Wise. This is a retelling of the second Peter Pan movie. We follow Wendy's daughter Jane as she is kidnapped from her bedroom in London and taken back to Neverland, where she is introduced to the Lost Boys and where Peter tries to make her the new Wendy. As well as following Jane, we get to see Wendy's point of view as a mother who goes after her daughter when she's taken. We have strong female characters in this book. We get to see their perspectives, and not only does it touch upon Wendy and Jane's present and going to Neverland, but it also delves into Wendy's past, which has to do with being in Neverland with her brothers, as well as what happened to her after they return. In this book, I'm looking forward to reading the different perspectives, as well as getting a different take on Neverland. I'm looking forward to the feminist twists, and I'm also very excited to delve back into this fairy tale, which I really enjoyed as a child. While I've never heard of this author, and I'm not sure if this is their debut novel, I have a feeling that I'm going to be giving this book between 3 and 4 stars out of 5. The next book that I picked up is Cersei by Madeline Miller. Already this summer, I have read her book Song of Achilles, and I enjoyed it very much, so I knew that I had to pick up this book as well, and I was very happy when I went into the bookstore at the beach and found that this was the last copy that they had, and I was able to snag it. Like Song of Achilles, Cersei is heavily based on Greek mythology. It's about a girl born into the house of Helios who seems weak at first, but then it comes out that she possesses the power of witchcraft, which can actually rival the gods. So Zeus banishes her to an island where she learns to hone her witchcraft, explore her powers more, and she runs into both friends and foe along the way. However, being on this island does not save her from the gods, nor does it save her from men. So Cersei must focus on herself and find the strength within her to defeat one of the most powerful Olympians. Since I enjoyed Song of Achilles so much and I really liked Madeline Miller's writing style, I have a feeling that I'm also going to really enjoy Cersei, at least I'm hoping that I will. So based off of that, as well as based off of how much I enjoy Madeline's interpretation of Greek mythology, as well as others such as Percy Jackson and lore, I think that I will end up giving this book around 4 to 5 stars. I'm also very excited to delve into our main character, Cersei, and see what she's all about and what she has to overcome in order to protect herself as well as others. The third book I picked up is the Wisteria Society of Lady Scoundrels, which is by India Holt. Our main character, Cecilia, is a part of a crime sorority in Victorian times in England. She does have a dark past. She does have family that she's not very keen on. However, for the most part, she enjoys her life and she enjoys her lifestyle as a thief, but it quickly turns away from fun and games to survival when a man is hired to assassinate Cecilia, but ends up falling for her. Cecilia and the would-be assassin Ned have to team up to save the Wisteria Society from being disbanded. I have never heard of this author, and I've never read any of their works before. However, I will say that the premise of this book sounds very interesting. It sounds like nothing I've ever read before, and I'm very keen on seeing how this enemies to lovers plays out, and I'm excited to see the banter back and forth between Cecilia and Ned. I can just picture it already, and just the thought of it amuses me, so I'm interested to dive into this book. I personally love the UK and I love London, so I'm very interested to read about those areas in a Victorian time period. So overall, taking into consideration how I don't really know the author or their writing style, but the premise of the book sounds extremely interesting, I think I'll probably end up giving this book 4 stars. The next book I picked up is The Invincible Summer of Juniper Jones by David McQueen. This book follows a young black boy named Ethan who gets into a little bit of trouble in his hometown in Washington State, so his father sends him to live in the small town he grew up in Alabama, where Ethan finds himself to be the only person of color in that town. However, a young girl named Juniper Jones befriends him and comes up with this idea to have an invincible summer. So they make a giant bucket list, and it's about their journey of checking off every single thing on that list while encountering some issues that center around race, while ultimately trying to understand one another and become closer because of their shared experiences. I've only really read a few books that are similar to this. I have been wanting to read more. I've been wanting to pick up more books that have main characters that are people of color, that have themes that center around the idea of race and racial injustice. And so while this sounds like a cute summer read, it also sounds like it will touch upon deeper subjects, and it will give me an insight into how people of color can sometimes feel throughout the world when they don't see many other people that look like them. I've also never heard of this author, and I'm also not sure if this is a debut novel. However, based on the summary and based on a few pages that I glimpsed while I was in the bookstore, I have a feeling that I'm going to deeply enjoy it over the summer, and so I have a feeling that I will be giving this book around 4 to 5 stars. The fifth book that I picked up is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. This book follows a girl named Emoni who got pregnant freshman year of high school and who has to make a lot of her decisions based on her child as well as her abuela who she lives with. When all the stress boils up inside of her and she needs to let loose, she does so in the kitchen, cooking and transforming simple foods into tasty dishes. Emoni is stuck between following her dream of becoming a chef or letting that dream go because she has a child and because she needs to take care of her abuela, but something inside of her just can't let go, and it's about her continuing to pursue her passion while having this choice of continuing to follow it after she graduates or letting it die looming over her. I have actually read Elizabeth's other book, The Poet X, which is probably one of my favorite standalones, if not one of my favorite books that I have ever read. So going into this one, I'm very excited about it because I really enjoyed Elizabeth's writing style and I really enjoyed the premise of her last book that I read. So with that being said, I think that I'm really gonna personally enjoy it. Plus, this book sounds so different from the first one of hers that I read. That just makes me even more excited about it and wanting to read it even more. So I think that I'll probably be giving it between 4 and 5 stars. The second to last book that I picked up at the beach was Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey McQuiston. This follows the son of the President of the United States, Alex, as well as a British prince named Henry, who have beef with one another, and when that gets out, things take a turn for the worst. So public relations gets involved to clean up the mess and makes the two befriend one another and have a sort of truce that goes viral on the internet. So although it starts out to be a fake friendship, soon feelings start growing between the two, and their friendship begins to develop into something more. Obviously, I have not been living under a rock, so I have been seeing this book all over Instagram and TikTok. I kind of held off from reading it because I wasn't entirely sure what it was about, and some of the books that I have bought because of TikTok and because of Instagram I haven't really ended up enjoying. But after picking it up and reading the premise, I'm actually very excited for it, and I can't wait to delve in and read this story because it sounds similar to a book I read before, which is called Boyfriend Material, but it also sounds very unique in and of itself. I will say I've never read anything by this author, and I don't think I've ever heard of them before. But that being said, I still think I'll end up giving this book around 4 stars. The last book that I picked up at the beach is very fitting. It's called The Last Poets of the Sea by Julia Drake. This is about a girl named Violet who falls into some trouble back home, gets involved with drugs, and then is shipped off to the summer town that her family has been spending their time in for years, where she's recovering. One of her ancestors is actually the founders of the town that she's staying in, and her ancestor's story is that they were the lone survivor of a shipwreck. They came ashore and founded the town called Lyric. So Violet decides to go on a hunt for this shipwreck and to prove that she is more than just a party girl. She makes some friends along the way, and no matter what, even if they do or do not find the shipwreck, it's still the beginnings of her healing from the past. I've seen this book a little bit on Instagram. I don't think many people know about it. I've never heard of this author. Sounds familiar, but I've never heard of them. I've never read any of their works. However, I will say that this book sounds very interesting to me, and like a few of the others I picked up, it's something that I've never really read before. It's a premise that I've never really read before, but it does sound a little bit like, I mean a little bit in a little itty bitty bit like Outer Banks, the TV show on Netflix. So with that little dash of adventure and friendship and intrigue, I think that I'm going to really enjoy reading this book. I'm going to try and knock it out before I start classes in a few weeks, because I just think this will be a great way to end the summer for me reading wise, and so I have a feeling I'll probably give this book 3 to 4 stars. Alright everyone, that is all that I have for today. Those were all 7 books that I picked up on my beach trip this summer. I'm really excited to delve into them. Hopefully I will be able to knock them all out before the end of summer, but if not, I will definitely be reading them into the fall and trying to finish them before I move on to the rest of my TBR. Please let me know down below if you have heard of or read any of these books and what your thoughts and opinions are on them. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my YouTube channel to help it grow. And aside from that, I will see you all next time.